Amid ceasefire by Russia to allow civilians to leave Mariupol and Volnovakha, evacuation of civilian plan for Saturday postponed as Russian forces encircling city not respecting an agreed ceasefire. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky to address the U.S. Senate and set to speak with the U.S. senators through Zoom calls on Saturday. Zelensky lashes NATO for ruling out a no-fly zone over his country. Union Minister for Ayush and Port Shipping and Waterways Sarbananda Sonowal announces major investment of worth 100 crores for Ayush healthcare in Nagaland. Sonowal emphasizes importance of Ayush while inaugurating first ever integrated Ayush hospital in the state at the Raja Chedama in Kohima. Manipur records 76.62% voters turned out till 5 p.m. as polling for second and last phase of Manipur Assembly election concludes. Voters still fade of as many as 92 candidates, including 2 women, spread across 22 constituencies in 6 districts. An unbeaten century of Ravindra Jadeja gave India put India commanding over Sri Lanka in Mohali Test. Visitor trial by 466 runs as they end the day 2 at 108 for loss of 2 wickets. Amid reports of ceasefire by Russia to allow civilians to leave the strategic ports of Mariupol in the southeast and the eastern town of Volnovakha from 10 a.m. Moscow time, fresh fakes are coming from Ukraine that the local authorities have informed that evacuation of civilians planned for Saturday had been postponed as Russian forces encircling the city were not respecting an agreed ceasefire. In a statement, the city council asked residents to return to shelter in the city and wait for further information on evacuation. Ukrainian presidential advisor Oleksiy Aristovcha said in a televised broadcast that Russia is not observing an agreed ceasefire in certain areas, thwarting a joint plan to allow civilians to evacuate from frontline cities such as Mariupol. Earlier, the Russian Defense Ministry said in a statement that it had agreed on evacuation routes with Ukrainian forces to allow civilians to leave Mariupol and Volnovakha. The vaguely worded statement did not make clear how long the roads would remain open. Notably, Russian invasion of Ukraine has entered 10th day and Moscow is continuing its hostility to capture Kyiv. As of this moment, the capital Kyiv remains under Ukrainian control as those Kharkiv in the east despite heavy Russian bombardment. Russian forces have seized Kherson in the south and have encircled urban center in the region. Now we have a telephonic conversation with our senior colleagues, Dibendu Chakrabarti. Let's hear about a Russia ceasefire with him. Hello, Dibendu.
Yes, Ruby, I can hear you.
So can you please give us a latest report regarding the ceasefire by Russia?
Yeah, definitely. Before I start, we would once again like to remind the viewers of Nltv that in this afternoon, we first broke the news that Russia has declared a ceasefire as far as their invasion on Ukraine is concerned. They specifically say that 2 areas of Ukraine, Mariupol and Volnovakha, will be allowed to evacuate. The civilians of that area or the cities will be allowed to evacuate their city by 10 a.m. Moscow Standard Time. By that time, the Russian forces were to stop firing, and the ceasefire declaration brought a light into the life of the Ukrainians, especially of that 2 cities. But however, whatever latest information that we are getting from Ukraine is that the Ukrainian city of Mariupol has halted the evacuation process of the civilians planned for Saturday. It has been postponed as there are reports from the Ukrainian side that Russian forces are encircling the city. At the moment, they are not respecting the agreed ceasefire that was, to start from 10 a.m. in this morning, like according to the Ukrainian time. But as of now, there are reports of violation from the Russian side regarding the ceasefire is concerned. So that's why all the evacuations that were supposed to take place has been postponed and the authority of the city. The city authorities have asked the residents to go back to their shelters, and they have been asked to wait for the further notice or the order from the city authorities so that any further evacuation can take place or not. That is at this moment a bit under cloud. Furthermore, the Ukrainian presidential advisor Oleksiy Arestovich, in a television broadcast, he said that Russia is not observing an agreed ceasefire in certain areas. Specifically, he's talking about Mariupol and Volnovakha, and that's why it is thwarting a joint plan to allow civilians to evacuate from the frontline cities like Mariupol. And meanwhile, another report that has emerged from Ukraine is that Ukraine have claimed that the Russian forces are entering into the houses of Ukrainian people and specifically targeting the females, the women. And allegedly they are molesting the Ukrainian women, which is a matter of concern. Already Russia's act of invasion of Ukraine has led to widespread condemnation. Organizations like United Nations, it's the Security Council of United Nations, United Nations UNHCR also condemned the act of Russian invasion. They have slammed Vladimir Putin for attacking Ukraine, creating the region into a war zone. And ultimately, this tussle is not ending anytime soon. As you have seen, for the last 10 days, Ukraine is under heavy fire, bombardment, and their civilians are also attacked. Interestingly, we also said in the afternoon news today that although it has been welcomed that Russia has allowed the people to evacuate, that means they are not in a mood to stop firing or attacking Ukraine. They have only given a time to evacuate the city. So Putin's mission is finally to topple the government of Vladimir Zelensky, and he wants to establish a government which abides to Russia. And whole scenario is about to prevent NATO to come into Ukraine, as Ukraine has already, as you know, and our viewers also are aware that Ukraine wants to join NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which is against Russia's policy. And Ukraine has a very rich CNG gas as its resources, and which is a target for even the eastern, western part of the Europe, including America and the NATO also. So Ukraine is a very specific and a very interesting country at this moment. So the whole warfare is leading to a kind of power game between the Western world and the Russian part of the globe. So the phase is very interesting right now, and we don't know when this is going to end and when the Russian invasion will stop. Ultimately, many people have died. So many civilians also have left. Billions of people have left Ukraine, their native home. So the whole situation is not turning peaceful as soon as it seems. And but at this moment, the big news that is coming from Ukraine is that though there was a slight ray of hope for the people of Mariupol and for the people of Volnovakha, at this moment, the evacuation process for the civilians that was planned for the day, for the Saturday specifically, has been put onto hold because the reports are surfacing that although Russian defense ministry said that they are starting a ceasefire in Mariupol and Volnovakha, but the forces of the Russian country are not adhering to the ceasefire agreement, and they are not in a mood to calm down, and that's what has propelled, or that has forced the situation into a direction that the civilians of Mariupol are now bound to stay within their home. They have been asked to take shelter, and they have been asked that they should not come out of their houses until there's a further notice from the Ukraine city officials, from the Mariupol city officials, I mean to say, Rovi. That's what the situation is right there now.
Okay, thank you so much, our senior, for giving us information in details. As part of the ongoing Operation Ganga, Indigo flight and 3 Air Force C-17 aircraft returned in India on Saturday morning. Indigo brought back 229 Indian nationals, while 3 Air Force brought over 600 Indian nationals who were stuck in Ukraine via Romania, Slovakia and Poland. Notably, Air Force has flown 10 planes to bring back 2,056 citizens back to safety. Minister of State for External Affairs V. Muralidharan informed that over 11,000 Indians have been evacuated from Ukraine. The government has also deployed special envoys to 4 neighboring countries bordering Ukraine to coordinate and oversee the evacuation process of Indian nationals. As Russia forces continue to bombard Ukrainian city, shocking visuals from Chernihiv shows a massive explosion lighting up the entire sky. Notably, the development comes after the Ukrainian government accusation over Russia of using cluster bombs for carrying out massive explosion in the country. However, the severity of this bomb is yet to be known. According to sources, the bomb exploded around the early morning hours and further transformed into a big explosion, turning the entire sky orange. Also, huge plumes of smokes and heavy sounds were witnessed from the attack site. Reportedly, apartment buildings, windows, walls, roof, balconies, ceiling and other things were also damaged in the explosion. Union Minister for Ayush and Port, Shipping and Waterways Sarbananda Sonowal on Friday announced a major investment of worth 100 crores for Ayush healthcare in Nagaland. While inaugurating the first ever integrated Ayush hospital in the state at Raja Chedama in Kohima, Sonowal emphasized the importance of Ayush and its further development in the state, since it is considered a biodiversity hotspot along with other northeastern states. The minister further cited that a 30-bedded Ayush hospital will be installed at Kifri along with 3 10-bedded hospitals, each at Mokochung, Dimapur, Nagaland University and Woka. Moreover, Sonowal announced the setting up of 70 crore states of the Earth Ayurvedic College at Longland. Sarbananda Sonowal also added that an Ayush Medical College will be opened in Nagaland School. The minister also requested government of Nagaland to utilize funds for construction at earliest.
Bedded integrated Ayush hospital, 3 numbers, 30-bedded integrated hospital, 1 Ayurvedic college. This will cross more than 100 crores from our side. So I'll continue to support. Simply I have a request to the government of Nagaland. Whatever money we give, please spend it as early as possible. 10-bedded integrated Ayush hospital.
Nagaland police has advised the public to be aware and not fall prey to easy online loan scam by scammers posing as representative of reputed banks or financial institutions offering loans at low interest rates. Elaborating on the modus operandi of the scam, the police on Saturday say that the scammer contacts the victims either through SMS or emails or call, offering loans by introducing themselves as officers, representative, agents of reputed bank or financial institution. Notably, if a victim agrees to a loan, soft copies of the documents such as ID and address proof, PAN card, bank account details, account statement, copy of the cancelled check, income details, etc. are sought on the pretext of processing the loan. The scammer then sends a fake loan approval form to the victims and asks him to pay the processing fee, after which they disappear. After availing the loans, the scammer gets access to the victim's contact, list and personal data, which is then used to harass the victim and their references to the extent of blackmailing them with their data. An offsite disaster drill in conjunction with the 51st National Safety Day was held on Friday under the theme Nurture Young Minds, Develop Safety Culture. Notably, the disaster drill was organized by the Labour Department and Indian Oil Corporation Limited in collaboration with Nagaland State Disaster Management. It may be mentioned that the off-site disaster drill was held in IOCL oil depot at Namglam Colony of Dimapur. Celebrating womanhood and their contribution towards the society, the world celebrates International Women's Day on March 8 every year. Keeping in mind NDWD, Nagaland Region Kam Assisi Center for Development on Saturday celebrated International Women's Day under the theme Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow at the Assisi Auditorium. Furthermore, District Nodal Officer of District Tobacco Control Cell of Dimapur, Dr. Riso Salu Vizo, while addressing the gathering at the chief guest, also shed light on gender inequality, rights and the need of sex education in the society. Meanwhile, member of Juvenile Justice Board Susant Lota, as the speaker of the program, imparted some knowledge on health awareness. Nagaland Children's Home on Saturday celebrated its 50 years of existence at their premises in Dipupar, whereby PHED Minister Jacob Zimomi graced in as the special guest. Furthermore, Zimomi, while speaking on the occasion, mentioned that he has been deeply moved by how the institution started with a very modest beginning. He further mentioned that it is a unique institution with the blessing of the Almighty, that not only provide shelter and food, but also prepare them for the challenges of life in the future. He further urged the children to grow humble and to be sincere in studies. Notably, the Children's Home was established in the year 1972 and is one of the first established orphanages in Nagaland, where the underprivileged and destitute children are provided with love, care, food, shelter, and education.
Not only you are providing shelter, food, and basic amenities to them, but you're also preparing them, giving them education so that they grow in full capacity and face the challenges in life that they may confront as they grow up. The youth today is the greatest strength of a country, and so is the state of Nagaland. We have a high percentage of youth force. We are preparing them to face the challenges of the modern day society so that they become self-reliant. But our primary focus is that we impart to them good education, because education will be our greatest asset, their greatest asset as they grow up. And therefore, that is my wishes to the children and the institution run by this family. We want to also share with the faculty that we also provide to them employment-oriented.
Namglam Colony Council on Saturday inaugurated the welcome gate and celebrated the recognition of the colony. During the inauguration program, MLA and advisor of Power Department, Tovihoto Ayami, graced in as the chief guest. Furthermore, the MLA, while addressing the gathering, congratulated the residents of the colony and said that it is the achievement of togetherness and that the day call for happiness and celebration.
Ajidu, Namglam Colony get inauguration, our Namglam Colony recognition, Thanksgiving program is it? Ajidu, it's a red letter day for the colony concerned. Kile, itu to apna khan laga efforts. The GB and the council and all the leaders involved not leaving any of the residents here, as I have been informed, as I have been told. So, mana milai gina, ekta hoy gina, ikki logo de program kura laga achievement aje paise. কোনোবা লিডাৰ একজন কাৰণে নহয় কিন্তু কলনী মানুহ সব মিলাই কিনা এইটো এফৰ্টছ দিয়া লগা ৰিজাল্টটো আজি আমাকান পাইছে and this is actually a historic day and
Chumagima Town Youth Organization on Saturday held a press conference with regards to the 5th Inter-Ward tournament, which is all set to be held from 7 to 12 March 2022 at Chumagima Town local ground. During the press conference, it was mentioned that the tournament will be organized by Chumagima Town Youth Organization in collaboration with Chumagima Town Council. Notably, the event is conducted once in every 3 years, and this year it will be held under the theme One Team, One Dream. It is to be mentioned that 13 teams from 11 wards will be participating in the tournament, whereby there will be football for men and volleyball for women. Furthermore, PHED Minister Jacob Zimomi will dress in as the chief guest, while Class 1 contractor Kashito Z. Yaptomi will grace the event as the guest of honor. Meanwhile, Chairman of Chumagima Village Council, Rozovotio Chatsu, will be the special host guest during the inaugural program, while Deputy Commissioner Abhinav Shivam will grace as the special guest for the closing ceremony.
Cash prize for the tournament will be football. First prize will be 50,000, which was sponsored by our Sir Dr. M. Chuba Au, Chairman Mount Mary College. Moreover, he is the Vice President of BJP, National Vice President. And our first runners-up of football is sponsored by the Nchombemo Nguli, ex-chairman Lotha Union Chumagima, and our volleyball second prize 30,000, and our volleyball champion is sponsored by Dr. Easter Imcha, Chumud Dental Clinic, and first runners-up by 20,000 by Dr. Adaho, CMO Police Referral Chumagima. And we have an individual prize sponsor by K. Adobushia, and we will also like to thank our Chief Minister and our present Minister for our constituency.
A solar mini-grid pilot project at Chantwet New Village under Chen subdivision was inaugurated by MLA C.L. John on Thursday. Notably, the inauguration was done in the presence of Deputy Commissioner of Mon, Tawasilan K, other officials and village functionaries. It is to be mentioned that the inauguration was organized by Mon District Administration in collaboration with Mithun Rural Development Foundation. Furthermore, speaking at the event, MLA C.L. John expressed his gratitude and appreciation to the Deputy Commissioner for the initiative in installing the solar mini-grid. He also expressed his sincere gratitude to MRDF and requested them to cover the remaining villages so that other villages can also avail the facilities of solar lights. As the polling for the second and last phase of Manipur Assembly election on Saturday concludes, Manipur recorded 76.60% voters turnout till 5 p.m. Notably, the voting was conducted across 22 constituencies in 6 districts in the state. The fate of as many as 92 candidates, including 2 women in fray. Meanwhile, as per government data, Manipur recorded 76.60% voters turned out till 5 p.m. Jiribam recorded 75.02%, Taubal recorded 78.00%, while Chandal recorded 76.71%. Furthermore, Senapati recorded 82.02% and Tamenglong recorded 66.40% respectively. The result of the election will be declared on March 10. Meanwhile, at least 2 people were killed and a few others injured in Manipur on Saturday in clashes at Senapati and Taubal district during the second round of the assembly election. Senior Congress leader and party Manipur observer Jairam Ramesh warned to move to Supreme Court over payment by government to ban militant groups. The leader on Saturday said that he would move to Supreme Court after the Election Commission maintained that the payment made to ban militant group in the state didn't constitute the violation of the Model Code of Conduct. Furthermore, the Congress leader alleged that the incumbent BJP government in Manipur had released funds to militant groups even while the MCC was in force in the state and ahead of the second phase of assembly polls. Moreover, the senior Congress leader claimed that the Election Commission of India ECI has maintained that large payment to banned militant groups by the Manipur government does not violate the MCC. Jairam also added that the objective of the payment of 15 crore given on February 1 was to influence voting in Churachandpur and Kangpokpi, while the release of payment of rupees 95 lakhs on March 1 was to influence voting in Tangnopol and Chandal district. A BJP supporter was allegedly gunned down by a Congress worker in Manipur, Karong constituency on Saturday at the second phase of assembly polls. Violence erupted in some places before the second phase of the assembly polls took off. El Amuba Singh, 25, succumbed to bullet injuries. Singh, also with other BJP activists, went to the residence of a Congress worker at Taubal district in the early hours to tell him to stop campaigning with the stipulated time being over. During an altercation over the issue, Singh was fired at. The BJP worker was then taken to a hospital in the district and later referred to another health facility in Imphal, where Singh succumbed to his injuries. Meghalaya government has withdrawn general consent to the CBI to investigate cases within the states, making it the 9th state to do so since 2018. All the states which has withdrawn the consent in the past had been ruled by opposition parties. However, the current Meghalaya government is led by Conrad Sangma National People's Party, which is part of the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance. While on the other hand, Meghalaya Home Minister Lakman Rimbui said that he is not in a position to comment on the development. However, Sangma termed the development a normal procedure when asked by the local reporter outside the Meghalaya Assembly on Friday. He further stated that a lot of states have taken the decision and it is aligned with that. Anybody who comes here has to take consent from the state. The Indian Navy on Saturday successfully test-fired the advanced version of the Brahmos missile from the stealth destroyer INS Chennai, demonstrating the combat readiness of its frontline platform. In a tweet, a Navy spokesperson said that the missile had hit its intended target with pinpoint accuracy. Furthermore, as per the Navy officials, this is an achievement which established the Indian Navy ability to strike even deeper and influence land operation further away from the sea when and where required. Notably, both Brahmos missile and INS Chennai are indigenously built and highlight the cutting edge of Indian missile and shipbuilding powers. It may be mentioned that they reinforce the Indian Navy contribution towards the Atma Nirbhar Bharat and Make in India endeavors. India and Bangladesh held a Commerce Secretary level talk on Friday in New Delhi. The Indian delegation was led by Commerce Secretary Sri BVR Subramanya, while the Bangladesh delegation was led by Senior Secretary Ministry of Commerce Tapan Kanti Ghosh. According to the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the two delegations held extensive discussion on a variety of issues, including the development of railway infrastructure, port infrastructure, joint study on Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement (CEPA), border heads, regional connectivity through multi-modal transportation, harmonization of standards and mutual recognition agreement. They further discussed the progress of the bilateral ties between the two countries in recent years, with emphasizing on the development of railway infrastructure and accompanying logistical facility to increase commerce between the two countries. Notably, Bangladesh is the sixth largest trade partner of India. An unbeaten century by Ravindra Jadeja and disciplined bowling show by Indian bowlers have given India a firm grip over Sri Lanka in the ongoing first test being played at Mohali. Ravindra Jadeja scored an unbeaten 175 as India declared their first inning at 574 for 8 against Sri Lanka on day 2 of the ongoing first stage before scalping 4 wickets of visitor at the Punjab Cricket Association in Bindra Stadium. Mohali on Saturday. At Assam on day 2, Sri Lanka scored rate 108 for 4 as they are trailing India by 466 runs. For Lankans, Pathum Nisanka 26 not out and Charit Asalanka at 1 are still at the crease, while for host Ravichandran Ashwin was the pick among the bowlers for host as they scalped 2 wickets. Jasprit Bumrah and Jadeja bagged 1 wicket each. Earlier in the days, the hosts piled up a moment total of 574 for 8 with Rohit Sharma finally declared the inning as Ravindra Jadeja smashed highest score by an Indian batting at number 7. Ravindra Jadeja etched his name on the history book by slamming a career best unbeaten knock of 175 on day 2 of the first test against Sri Lanka in Mohali. Jadeja on Saturday broke Kapil Dev's 35 years long-standing record for the highest score by an Indian coming to bat at number 7 or below in Test cricket. Kapil Dev amashed 163 against Sri Lanka in Kanpur way back in December 1986 while batting at number 7. Jadeja went past that score on Saturday in an inning that was stamped with class and authority. Jadeja also became only the 3rd Indian to register a score in excess of 150 while batting at number 7 or below in Test cricket. Jadeja hit 3 sixes and as many as 17-4 in his flawless inning, in which he scored a brilliant strike rate of 76.75%. Jadeja was unbeaten on 175 and Shami was batting on 20 when captain Rohit Sharma decided to declare the Indian innings. Indirect talks between Iran and the United States on reviving the 2015 Iran nuclear deals are close to reaching an agreement. This was announced by the chief British and French envoys on Friday as they and their German colleagues flew home to brief ministers. Meanwhile, Russian envoys Mikhail Ulyanov stated that a deal may be in the middle of next week. Moreover, the negotiators have worked for 11 months to try to revive the 2015 deal under which Iran limited its nuclear program to make it harder to obtain fissioned material for a bomb in return for relief from economic sanctions. Furthermore, Western powers China and Russia have for almost a year worked closely to revive the accord, but the war in Ukraine is creating a sense of urgency to conclude talks before cooperation with Moscow may become more difficult. Singapore has introduced sanctions on the Russia Central Bank and some other Russian banks and imposed restriction on the export to the country over the Russian military operation in Ukraine. Notably, the sanction target 4 Russian banks, namely VTB, VNE, Vinchiko Nombank, Bank and Bank Russia. The development came in order to constrain Russia's capacity to conduct its war in Ukraine and cyber aggression. Moreover, all permit application to Russia involving all items on the list of military goods under the SGCO and all category codes under electronics, computers and telecommunication and information security on the list of dual-use goods under the SGCO will be rejected. The Special Olympics have announced that they have cancelled their World Winter Games as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The Games were due to be held in Kazan, Russia in January 2023, but organizers said in a statement that they can no longer ensure the safety of athletes and the community. Especially Olympics say that they are devastated by the fear and destruction being experienced by our athletes and community in Ukraine. The Special Olympics was due to see over 2,000 athletes and unified partners at the Games. The Winter Paralympic opened Friday in Beijing with the Russian athletes sent home, the Ukraine team escaping a war zone to get to China, and an emphasized call for peace. Andrew Parson, the president of the International Paralympic Committee, declared his horror at the fighting in Ukraine and called on world authority to promote peace. Paralympic organizers initially announced that Russian and Belarusian would be allowed to compete in Beijing, but reversed course one day before the opening ceremony and expelled athletes from both countries. They cited tension in the athletes' village. The Russian Paralympic Committee called the decision absolutely politicized. Russia announced to punish anyone who spread fake news against its army. Notably, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced a bill to impose 15 years of jail term on anyone who was caught spreading fake news against its army. Meanwhile, BBC, Bloomberg News, CBC and CNN News Channel has put a halt to work in Moscow. Meanwhile, the Director General of BBC, Tim Davies, stated that the legislation appears to criminalize process of independent journalism. Moreover, Russia has cut Facebook and Twitter access, including several foreign news organization websites. The 2028 European Championship is set to take place in the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland, with the joint host to be handed the tournament without facing competition from other bids. Turkey are likely to withdraw their candidacy as they failed in two recent bids to host the Euro in 2016 and 2024 and want to avoid being beaten again, while Russia's planned bid is a non-starter given the country's suspension from international sport. The formal bidding process was due to drag on until September 2023, but if only one bid is received, UEFA will announce the host far earlier, assuming the UK and Ireland efforts meet the organizer technical requirements, which is regarded as a formality. The Turkish FA made clear to UEFA that they would only bid for the tournament if they were unopposed, and Russia were ruled out following Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine. So this is all for today. For more updates, keep watching Namglam TV.
Namglam TV Nagaland TV, Sop Manulaga Awas. Watch us live on Geo TV and on your television sets as well. For Dimapur viewers, we are on channel number 10 in Global Chapter, and for Kohima and Mokokchung viewers, switch to channel number 138 on Hornbill